Finding the proper word for something can help us see it more clearly. But without language, it's difficult for human beings to see what's really happening around us and inside us and between us. And author John Koenig wants to help us with that problem. So his book is called The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. It's definitions for human experiences that don't immediately find a corollary in the English language. So for instance, words like sonder. It's the sudden realization that everyone else has an inner life as rich and vivid as ours. Sonder is like this mixture of sadness and wonder that I, in fact, am not the lead character in your story. Landing on the proper word for something can help us see reality more clearly. It gives us this satisfying experience of dots coming together, of our vision coming into focus. In the 1960s, the Jewish theologian Rabbi Heschel, he wrote a telegram to President Kennedy, and he was urging President Kennedy to declare the treatment of African Americans a moral emergency. In that telegram, Rabbi Heschel noted, "This hour calls for spiritual audacity." Moral emergency. Spiritual audacity. Is it possible for a word to shape reality? If so, then that power comes surely with a shadow side. Because being handed an improper word for something, like welfare baby, invalid, adulterous woman, these words make it harder to see reality clearly. Careless speech can destroy the life. The poet Dominique Achi calls language a borrowed thing. She says, "We do not choose the words we inherit, but we can choose to interrogate those words. We can ask, whose interest do those words serve? And by changing the words we use, we are reclaiming the power of language to shape our reality and the reality of one another." So, is it possible, as Isaiah suggests, for a word to sustain the weary? Like, is it possible that a word can alter our physical reality, how our bodies feel, how much energy we have or don't have? Is it possible for a word to become fuel for us to burn in moments where we're feeling depleted or exhausted, fatigued, just worn out? This question is perhaps fitting for Holy Wednesday, the spot in the week where our tank may be running on empty, especially you sacristans, those of you who are working in parishes and congregation. We are weary. A few years ago, around this time of year, Tony Baker sent a faculty email around with the subject line, "April is the cruelest month." And I've never heard that before, but I thought, oh, as soon as the email hit my inbox, I thought, that is true. April is the cruelest month. And I felt Tony's companionship in this naming that reality. It comes from the opening line of a T.S. Eliot poem called Wasteland. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. What are the roots that clutch? What branches grow out of this stony rubbish? Oh, Son of Man, you cannot say or guess, for you know only a heap of broken images. The poet is helping us recognize that there's a contrast perhaps between the spring out there and the winter we may be feeling here. And we may feel less alone simply by naming that reality, because we are weary. Of school shootings and children shuddering, we are weary. Of police brutality and Black lives extinguished, we are weary. Of political hijinks and trans youth suffering, we are weary. We are weary. We are weary of going up against formidable problems, giant social fiscal machines, which, if left unchecked, will bring about the destruction of the planet. We are weary. Greta Thunberg and environmentalists like her are weary. They have been urging us with creative and relentless language, and yet we are weary. And today on Holy Wednesday, we can imagine Jesus weary. At this point in the story, he has traveled far distances. He has overthrown tables. He has said all the hard things. And his words have been expensive. A few days from now, he will be killed on the pretense of those words. And notice his words altered our physical reality. We are listening still to the reverberations of his sound waves, still shaping us, still helping us see nonviolent possibilities. There's a sermon Martin Luther King Jr. preached in the 60s at Temple Israel Hollywood. On that day, he said this: "Maybe the world is in need of the formation of a new organization, the International Association for the Advancement of Creative Maladjustment. Persons who will be as maladjusted as the prophets of old, who in the midst of injustice would cry out in words that echo across the centuries. A holy madness, if you will." Friends, what if all of it, what if all of it hinges on our creative use of language? But we are awash in words. Every day, on average, we hear 25,000 distinct words. We speak approximately 10,000 words. We read 9,000. And a lot of the words we use are not all that important. I know this because my students are kind to tell me in their end-of-course evaluation which words the class would have been immensely improved had I just eliminated. Nevertheless, the words we use become the ecosystem that shapes our reality. Words create worlds, as Rabbi Heschel urged us to see. The Holocaust did not begin with the building of a crematorium. Hitler did not rise to power with guns and tanks. It begins with rhetoric, with text, with words which, once having been uttered, gain something of eternity which can never be fully withdrawn. So is it possible for us to shape reality with a word? It may be the only way we can. And when I think about that, I feel a tenderness in the relationship between the speaker and the word and the breath. Yes, careless speech can destroy lives. And also, listening intimately to the words of another, it can be one of the most exquisite joys a body can feel. And through the physical act of pushing of air molecules through the lungs to reverberate the sound waves in the ears of another, our breath impacts the fleshly organs of one another. Your words alter my heart rate, my blood flow, the frequency of my brain waves. My words alter your gray matter, your neural pathways, and that changes everything. So then may we, who, by good fortune, find that our entire vocation is rooted in the creative use of language, may we rise to that challenge. May we say yes to that daily exercise. May we take a leaf from Jesus' book, and may we be playful with our speech, inviting one another into the revelry of creative maladjustment. May we say yes to holy madness, if only in our rhetoric, and discover that yes, a confident word can sustain the weary. And also, yes, a careless word can destroy the life. And yes, it has been given to us to shape reality. It has been given us the power to vibrate the strings of the world with nothing except our breath. costly as it may be.